Hi, welcome to Pro World Live. I'm Danielle from Pro World.
Kate behind the camera.
And we are here today, if you've noticed, we have the Juliet cutter with us. But more importantly than just the Juliet, we have Patrick from Siser who's going to join us today to show you everything there is to know about EasyColor DTV, along with talking about the Juliet, the Romo, wow, the
go.
Juliet,
You
the
did it right.
Romeo, the Leonardo software, the developer, the guy that has all the answers. He's here joining us today, and it's going to be a great and amazing live. So, hi, Patrick. Welcome.
Hi. Hello, hello. I told you, see, that button comes in handy if you need it.
Oh, I wish I had it. That would have been perfect timing.
And let me compliment you, by the way, too. The countdown was actually pretty cool. It kept me, had a little dance going here in the background. So, hi, everybody.
Good job,
hello.
Kate.
Yeah. So thank you in advance for having us and letting us come on, talk about these things and hang out for a little bit and do a quick, cool project so we can give everybody not only a bunch of information that they're probably looking for, but we can introduce them to maybe something that they haven't seen yet or they don't know about yet. So it'll be really, really fun.
All right.
Cool.
Sounds good to me.
All right. You ready to hop in?
Yeah, might as well. Let's jump right in.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Obviously, thank you to Pro World for hosting us as well. My name is Patrick Ali. I am the lead educator here at Siser. I'm the guy that you typically see in the videos, but I'm also one of the developers of the Romeo, the Juliet, and Leonardo Design Studio. So I get to do a lot of cool different things, wear a lot of different hats in the company, but in all, we're a massive team that created something really awesome. So I'm excited to show you guys, and if at any time you have any questions, we have obviously a team of people monitor and comment, so ask away and we'll try to make sure all of those get answered. But today is actually a really fun day for me because I get to show two of my personally, and these truthfully are two of my personal favorite things here at Siser, and that's Leonardo Design Studio, and then also our what's called our EasyColor DTV or EasyColor Direct to Vinyl product. Now, the EasyColor DTV product is not like a normal printable product. This is actually a heat transfer material. So a true heat transfer material that will accept pigment inks. So your standard desktop printers that you can buy at, a retail store, you can pick one up today, anywhere that you can get a desktop printer, this product works. But also if you're in the large format space and you utilize maybe eco-solvent inks, this also works for large format. So it's a really cool multi-versatile, it's a very cool universal tool to be able to use for us as designers, but more importantly, as us as creators, branders, crafters, commercial users, production shops. It's an awesome product. So we're going to get into that today. And I have actually really quickly a print that I just did. This is actually the print that we're going to be doing today. And the reason why I wanted to show you this up front before we even get started, and let me go over here so that you can really see it, is that the print quality on these are incredible. I mean, with the EasyColor DTV, it is a white point material, so there's actually a white side to it. And then there's more of this frosted blue. I know you can't really, trying to look, you can't really see it super well on there, but there's this frosted blue side, which is going to be what is quote unquote your carrier. So with that said, the EasyColor DTV allows us to do a lot of different things and have full color designs quick and easy. So I think what we do is let's hop into a quick print and project inside Leonardo. Now, I want to make sure that I let you guys know before we get too deep into this live, EasyColor DTV is not just a product that only works with the Romeo or Juliet. You may be at home and say, hey, I have a Cricut, I have a Roland, I have a Graphtec, I have a large format printer, or I just have a desktop printer and a pair of scissors at home. The cool part about EasyColor is that you can use it with everything. So it's an awesome material. But let's go into software really quick because I want to show you how I essentially use Leonardo Design Studio. And I think what would be cool is that I'll give you a quick walkthrough of the software so that you can kind of get used to it, understand it, and then we'll hop into actually bringing in a print and cut project. Sound good?
That's great to me.
Awesome. Alrighty, so on the homepage of Leonardo Design Studio, this is basically our landing page. This is where we can bring any sales, any deals, anything that we have available currently with Leonardo. As you can see, the Creative Fabrica, you get a year free. We can bring this to the forefront. So as soon as you log in, you know what's happening here at Siser all the time. Now, the tutorials page, this is obviously one of one of my big jobs here at Siser is creating video content and creating educational content. So there is a ton of actual in software and cutter specific content right within Leonardo Design Studio. So whether you're getting into basic tools, you want to learn how to load mat, you want to understand how the cutter works or how to preset materials, or you're simply looking for maybe an advanced tool, definitely this is a great page for you. And I just saw too that Tony is chiming in over on YouTube. Tony is an incredible brain. He is one of the team members and the main team member that's processing a lot of the things. So definitely show him some love, and he can answer any questions. Tony, please, if you could, I appreciate you. But anyways, we have the inspiration tab. Now, the inspiration tab is a really cool place for you to get information. So I can click on, let's say, this robotic metallic robot design. I can click on the design. Not only am I going to see what the finished item is, but I can also see a materials list, exactly how to put the project together. And the best part is we give you the design right at the bottom. So I can heart this, save it for later, or I can click make it, and I can start making this project right away. Now for the design library, as you guys know, this is just a library that's chock full of not only clip art style designs, some more advanced designs, but everything layerable or able to convert to like a print then cut design, which is something we're going to do today. But there are a ton of options here. You can explore them if you try Leonardo Design Studio. But here is the part where a lot of people get hung up here at Siser is that, you know, what materials am I going to use? What colors do I want? How am I going to make my design pop without actually being able to see what I'm trying to execute with my design? So here's the cool part. In the material library, we can select from the entire library at Siser. What you're able to also do is see that thumbnail, that color swatch, right on screen. You have a really quick piece of information on the actual material. And then this is where everybody loves to learn inside Leonardo, because this will tell us exactly what are some of the attributes of the material itself. So a material like an Eco Stretch, we know it's a laser friendly product. We know that it's layerable. This iron-on just means that it's a heat transferable material to the garment. And then every one of these products that are CPSA certified, we're letting you know that right off the bat. So it's a really great resource to start not only learning about software, but also learning about product specific things. And then as our website, if you guys ever go to our website at CaesarNA.com, you'll see that we always give you the specific materials that these products apply to, which I think is a huge advantage for you, because there's no more guessing halfway through your project. There's no more guessing leading up to your project. Now, the registration page, this is just where we get to register our cutters. There's also opportunities to capture those deals like the Creative Fabrica, and then the My page. The reason why I like the My page so much is that if you have any recent files that you actually download or save from the design library, those will show up here. And so the great part about Leonardo Design Studio is everything from the home page on down to the My page is actually a web-based application. And then the actual design board itself is an actual physical application of the computer. So let's say that I'm going to take Leonardo, I'm going to take my Juliet or my Romeo high definition cutter, I'm going to grab some material, hop in the car, and I'm going to a craft show. I'm going to a kids sports game, and we're going to go ahead and decorate, write names and numbers at the game, or whatever it is. You have the confidence to know that not only can you take those designs, save them so you can use them offline, but one of the big benefits of Leonardo Design Studio is we can actually import designs, whether a PNG or SVG or a JPEG file. So you have a lot of versatility in the type of designs that you can actually import. And one of the cool parts about Leonardo Design Studio Pro is that you can actually export your design. So there's no more creating something, paying all this money for an access to it, and then not being able to extract it when we want. We want to be able to share and spread, obviously, our beautiful designs out in the world as much as we can. So that was one of the big benefits of Leonardo Design Studio. So hopping back into software, what I think we should do is we're going to bring in a print and cut design. And then from there, I'm going to walk you through actually how to create that. Make sure we're answering questions. I'll make sure we're answering questions along the way, but then we're actually going to put this project together. And maybe I'm a little selfish because this project's actually a personal one for me that I'm doing. But you can definitely, I'll give you another way to catch that, that same exact garment that I'm making today on another live that'll be coming up down the road. So with that said, we're inside Leonardo Design Studio. There's a ton of different options inside Leonardo Design Studio, Basic or Pro. So there's 2 different versions of the software. And with that, I have my entire tool set, and I have all of my basic property menu, like my layer panel, my color grid, being able to adjust whether it's the stroke of a line or the thickness of a line, being able to determine whether I want a cutting mat on screen or I don't want a cutting mat on screen. There's a lot of things to digest inside Leonardo, but I think what's best is let's take it piece by piece. So I'm going to simply import a design that I had made. And again, this is one that I've made a while ago. It's a PNG style file, and it's just more, like I said, a personal project for me. So what I'm going to do is bring this in as a print then cut. Now, what's really cool about Leonardo Design Studio is it will auto detect the DPI for you, okay, or the resolution of your image, but you also have the ability to change that resolution if you want to. Okay, there's 2 ways to bring in a file into Leonardo Design Studio. There's a print then cut, and then there's the background image. So let's say that you are a pattern maker, right? We're going to bring our designs in as a background image because we don't want crop marks and we want to be able to just print our design once we're done. Whereas with a print and cut, we got to add all of those cut lines and all those contours around our image. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hit next. Now on this page, this is basically your remove background screen. This is where you're going to remove any of the white space. You also have the option to select the color range. So I'll show you kind of right now. Let's zoom in on this just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and remove, let's say this like green color. And as you see, when I click remove, it's automatically removed from the design. Now, what's really cool about Leonardo Design Studio that a lot of other softwares don't necessarily have is that it has a memory bank that will allow you to go back into your image. So if I click include and I hover my cursor over the screen, you can see that there's a little bit of white. That's the white background to my image. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go look for that green color again, include it, and now you can see just like that from the click of a button, I'm able to include that color again. So if in the event that maybe I'm moving a little too fast, right, and I start clicking too many times and remove something, we now have the confidence that we can put it back into our image. Now, what you're going to see in real time after I click next is you're going to see the image actually scan. And just like that, we now have our cut line set on our image. So I'm going to do that one more time because I know it's super fast, but it's going to scan my image and then it snaps my cut lines right away. And the cool part about this is now I can see where those lines are starting and stopping. So now I can make decisions on whether I want to reduce the contour area, meaning adding more cavities. Do I want to include holes? Because for something like this, maybe I don't include holes, and now I'm going to make this into a sticker, as opposed to what I want to do now and make it into a garment or a shirt. So I'm going to include those holes, which will add or cut away all those little cavities in the design. Once I hit next, this is one of the best screens of this whole module itself, is it has a live contour tool. So as I zoom into this, you can see around the edge of my design, the contour is starting to grow or minimize based on how far that distance or how far I want that to be from my design itself. So let's say I'm a sticker maker. Maybe I'm going to have a wide contour because I'm going to do, like a kiss cut and then a full perforation cut or a full cut through the material later on. But for, again, a garment, I'm going to add no contour. And actually, one of the cool things about Leonardo Design Studio is not only can you add an outbound contour, but we can actually click this inset button, and now we can actually add an inset to our design. So there's no more adding a bleed, right? We're not adding a bleed to our design anymore. We're not having to make sure that we manipulate our artwork. We can keep it as is. We can click a couple times into the inset, and now we know that that blade is going to cut down into the ink a little bit, which is going to allow us to have that full design without any weird white contour borders and stuff like that. So once I hit finish, that's it. All I got to do from here is send my design on over to my printer. But before we do that, we have to set up our page to actually execute our print. So one of the awesome parts about Leonardo Design Studio is that I can select from the printer options. I can select my printer. Now, the cool thing is that any printer that I have downloaded into my physical computer itself will work with Leonardo. So it's not like I got to go in and assign a printer right away and all of that stuff. If I already have a printer loaded and I can go to, say, Microsoft Word and print a document, I can print within Leonardo Design Studio. So makes it super convenient. And today what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and choose the 2100, which is the Epson that I have here. And I'm going to go tabloid because that's more of an 11 by 17. Because one of the big benefits with an EasyColor DTV is that it actually is sold in an 8.5 by 11 or A4, so slightly bigger. And then you also can get it in an 8.5-inch roll by a roll. So if you want to sheet it down yourself, but you can also get it in 11 by 17, which is a bigger size, and you can get them in 20-inch rolls. I believe 20-inch rolls as well. So for something like the Epson that I'm running right now is a 24-inch wide format desktop printer, I can now use this with a large roll of EasyColor DTV, and I can make big, large-scale products or projects out of it, which is really cool. So with that, oh, actually, first off, before we get too deep into this part, do we have any questions that came in?
You know, we did have some questions, but Tony's been really amazing by answering them right online. So,
this is why I love Tony. See, we're a package deal here at Siser, right? You don't just get one of us. I got people hiding in the comments and making sure that we're answering everybody's questions. So if you guys do at any time, please feel free to ask, and we'll make sure to answer those, either Tony or myself.
Yeah, and I think we do have a question coming in about having difficulty pressing it. So I'm sure you're going to go over that in just a few moments. So
yeah, we're actually going to talk about that. And one thing that I'm going to show you guys too, which I think is something that we don't talk about enough when it comes to clamshell spring-loaded heat press, is how to actually set your pressure and know what is, like firm, medium, and light pressure. So I'll also show that as well.
Perfect.
Well, cool. All right. So inside Leonardo Design Studio, I've set up my page as an 11 by 17. Okay. Now I have two awesome options that I can choose from. I can duplicate, so that for this design, let's say we're making 5-inch stickers. I can duplicate my design just by copying and pasting and moving it on over, right? This is great if you have Leonardo Basic. It's a really quick and easy way to be able to multiply things quickly. One of the awesome things with Leonardo Design Studio is there's also, for the pro user, there's something called the tile array. And the cool part about the tile array is not only can I set my design on what size I want, but I can actually change the gap spacing in between each of my images. And then I can also choose how many horizontally or vertically do I want to add into my design. Now, what we have added in, and one of the things that Tony has done an awesome job at making sure is here, is the auto fit. And all I have to do is with a one click of a button, it will automatically fill my page with my design. So there's no more guessing about, well, I wonder how many images, or copy and paste, or duplicate an image to arrange it. We can go right in that tile array menu, and then we're able to, right off the bat, one click, multiply our design and stretch it out for the entire length of the material that we're using. So the cool thing is I can set a 1-yard piece of easy weed. Let's say I'm doing 12 by 36 inches, which is a standard 1-yard piece. I can import that into Leonardo and change the workboard to a 1 yard. Then I can hit tile array and it will automatically fill that 1-yard piece of material with all of my designs, which is good. Yeah. So with that said, let's go ahead and eliminate that one. The other thing is too, is you probably notice if you are a Leonardo Design Studio user already, that my page margins are much smaller than your page margins that maybe you have when you first hook up the software. Now, this is not a pro or basic feature, but over on the file menu, and then in the preferences menu, you go to all preferences and you can actually make an adjustment to make those page margins smaller. So not only do you get some of the largest printable space in a software that's out there right now, but you can actually make that a little bit bigger by a simple click of a button, which is really cool. So, all right. So with this design, what I'm going to do is I want to scale this up because, again, I said this is for me. So I'm going to go to 10 inches wide. And this will bring me at about 10 by 10 or so. But we have an 11-inch wide piece of material. So let's actually go to a 10.75. Oh, not 1.75, 10.75. And let's see if we can fit this on the page itself. So that one's not going to fit. Let's go to 10.625. 625. And let's see if we can get that one to fit. And then we go to 10.5. Might be the golden number. There it is. 10.5 it is. So on an 11-inch piece of material, or a little bit just under 11 inches, we can fit about 10.5 inches wide of printable space with our registration marks added in, which is a ton of space and a really cool option to add in there. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is, now that I've selected what printer we're going to print from, which was just by this little button here, we already have our printer ready to go. I have my artwork set up, and I'm going to bring this down to towards the bottom of the page. And the reason why I'm going to do this is, what I want to actually do with this page is I want to save some space. One of the really awesome features and attributes of Leonardo Design Studio is that I can manipulate and move my artwork around before I get to actually executing our cut or our print. One of the really cool attributes of EasyColor DTV is not only can I use the ink sets that I told you about, but I can just use a Sharpie. So by taking my material and saving some space up top, now I can go ahead and take this space, cut a couple of pieces out, and write on it with Sharpie. And I can go ahead and heat apply those, say, to the inside of a kid's backpack. I wouldn't say, back in the day when I was a kid, it was like you got to put your name in your underwear for some reason. But if I wanted to do that too, I guess I could do that as well. But you now can take permanent markers, actually physically draw. So now we can actually have kids making really cool projects. We only need scissors to cut it out, and it makes it really easy for you to decorate. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and send this on over to the Send Design menu. And you have a couple of options when you send over your artwork on how you want your artwork to send. Now, with a PNG or a print and cut, it really only gives you a singular option, because all of the work is done on the Send Design menu. And as you can see, I have my print here with my registration marks, but I also have my cut. And the cool part about having my cut available to me is I can check quickly right before I get ready to actually send, excuse me, send this on over to the cutter. I can just double check and make sure that that line work looks like it's going to cut everything out for me. So once I'm happy with that, I can take my printed image. I can go ahead and send it over to the printer. This might take a second just because this printer's been running a little bit slow, but I got it to print pretty quick last time. But as that's printing out, what I'm able to start doing is set up my cut file. And by being able to set up my cut file here, I am now waiting for this to print. My file's already set up. So when I get to the print then cut, I'm able to just go through the process quickly and get these things done fast and efficiently. So and that one's printing out right now. Do we got any questions? I know Tony's answering away over there.
I don't see.
Okay.
He's just
cruising.
Doing my job too.
Well, the funny thing is about Tony, him and I, we actually go back and forth a lot. And we have a competition on who can actually answer questions faster. So what he likes to do is, when I'm on a live and he knows I can't see all of them right away, he likes to get in and answer them so he can add them to his, because he can add them to his score, his tally score.
Yeah, his tally can be way above yours.
Yeah. All right,
but
so here's
lots of useful information. So no, I was gonna say you're giving lots of useful information. So this is great.
Good. Awesome. I'm glad. All right, so this one right here, this is a really good example on printer settings. It just kind of happened right now, which is fine. But with EasyColor or with Leonardo Design Studio, the registration marks will set on your page in software. We've had 1 or 2 cases where people have had the registration marks fall off their page when they go to smaller print margins. So what we need to make sure that we do is that when we go to smaller print margins inside Leonardo, that our actual printer isn't set to something like borderless, which in this case, for the large format desktop printers, they're typically set to like borderless right away because they want you to be able to print edge to edge. So I'm running another print. I just changed the setting quickly for us. And just like that now, we have our full image and we have our registration marks. And I think that this is cool to note. Look how close this registration mark is right there to the actual design itself. I mean, it's literally almost directly on top of the design. Now, I know it's a little bit, what am I trying to say? Not foggy, but a little bit unclear here just because it's out of slightly. But you can see that that registration mark is almost on top of the ink itself, which is really cool. All right. So now it's time to talk about how we actually set up and we operate the Juliet high definition cutter. And this is a really important thing to remember. The Juliet can cut with a mat. Now with the Juliet or Romeo, you will get a 12 by 12 cutting mat. Okay, this one's the low tack or light tack mat in red. You usually get the black one in the pack, but it's a 12 by 12. which we can use a 12 by 12 cutting mat in our Juliet if we'd like to. But the reason why I also purposely saved a little bit of room up here is not only so that I can save this for later to be able to draw or color or write labels and make sure that I'm organized at home, but I'm also saving enough space so the pinch wheels can catch the material, which will allow me to actually cut this DTV without a mat. Do you want to see how that works? All right, go ahead. I'm just loading. All I'm doing right now is I'm just loading this into my Juliet, making sure that my material sits down flat. Oh, let me do this one time like that. There we go. And then now what I need to do, in the big difference with the Juliet versus a normal cutting machine, is that the Juliet actually has a high definition camera. It does not have an optical eye like you're typically used to seeing in some of the craft and even commercial machines. So the big benefit for us is we can really, really hone in our settings, and we can get extremely close to where we need to be able to execute our print and cut. So I'm just adjusting my blade a little bit to make sure that my blade is in the appropriate position to be able to print and cut. Once my blade is set, here's an awesome feature inside Leonardo Design Studio that really, really benefits us, is that we have a way to actually test our material, test our blade to make sure that our blade won't fall off of the material as it's cutting, and it's called the area test. So inside Leonardo, when we go to the actual cut of our material, there's a lot of different options here. There's your regular mirror option. An auto weed box basically just puts a box around the design itself to make weeding a little bit easier. Or if you're somebody like me, I like to print a lot and do a lot, and then I like to save them. So then I don't necessarily have to weed them now, but I know that they're cut and ready once I've weeded them out. The other thing is there's also a way to test, do an area, or not an area test, I'm sorry, a cut settings test, or just a test cut right within software. But this is the option that I'm always super excited to show people. Inside Leonardo Design Studio, there's an area test button, and I'm going to show you on the Juliet itself what this area test does. When I click it, what it's going to do is it'll run the outside boundaries of my design, letting me know whether the blade, the camera, or anything else is going to fall off of the material or off of the actual cut path itself. And I'll do that one more time so you can see it. But it actually will run, again, the border of my design to make sure that it doesn't fall off. So now that I know that I've done a quick test cut on, or not a test cut, but I'm sorry, an area test on my design, I know that it's going to fit properly where I want it to. Now I can get on to the next step inside Leonardo, and I can send my cut onto the cutter. Now, I'm going to go ahead and hit send to cutter. And all this is going to make sure is that I'm connected properly. And then what I'm going to do is hit yes. And as you can see, when I hit yes, what it's doing in real time is that camera is picking up all of those registration marks. Now, in the event that it misses a registration mark of some kind, it's very, very simple to go back and actually fix that without having to stop your cut or stop your job from actually going itself. So as you can see right now, it's, Juliet is cutting away. But let me go. I thought I saw one question in there. I think Tony already got it. When you cut a sheet from a roll of DTV, how do you make the sheet lie flat so you can go? Oh, so this actually that's a really good question. Sorry, I'm reading Terry Sturm's question. So with EasyColor DTV, one of the best ways that I've had it to lay flat is once I cut all of my sheets, I literally lay them down on a table, print side down, throw some parchment over just to protect that printable area, and then I literally toss a book on it. I find some book that I can put on it. I store, because for me, what I do is I'll buy an 8.5 inch roll, and I'll cut sheets for my printer at home. And I just take a bushel, a bundle of 10 or 15 of them, lay them on the table. Again, print side down on some parchment or on some type of backing of the material, whatever. Lay them all down, put a book on them, and let them sit there. For me at my house, the basement gets a little cold, so sometimes they tend to curl. But if you have a normal moderate temperature area, everything should flatten itself out or even itself out. But the other option inside, with the EasyColor DTV is you can actually utilize your heat press to help your design flatten itself out. So if you're not getting print issues because it's curling, the way to fix that would be the book technique, right? Just something cheap, it's easy, it's a quick fix for you. But if you're not getting to the point where your cuts are coming out super well because you're getting some curling and stuff like that, you can actually take your sheet I can lay it down on my heat press under radiant heat. Okay, when I'm saying radiant heat, that means I'm not pressing it because I obviously haven't weeded this out. But I can lay it down on the heat press under radiant heat, and that heat will force that DTV or that EasyColor to actually lay flat for you too. So there's another option. But if you are sheeting them on your own, the best way to do it that I have found is doing just like the book, or if you got a laptop, something that can sit on it for a little while to make that process, or hopefully make it work out for you. All right, so we've gone ahead now and we've cut our EasyColor. And I'm going to actually weed this over on the heat press here so I can show you just how quick and simple this weeds out. So check this out. Look at that. Easy, easy. And I'm going to actually, this is the first time that I've ever weeded like in this position. So it's interesting for me. But as you can see, I mean, this is just coming off without any issue at all. So, all right. So let's go ahead and I'm going to weed this out really quickly. And then we can go over the next steps, unless we got any questions that popped in.
No, not yet.
Cool. Hey, it means that we're doing our job, Danielle. This is perfect.
Hey, you're doing amazing. I'm learning so many things I had no idea about.
That's all right. And then also too, you know, with the EasyColor DTV, one big piece of this is not only is it a super versatile like product, it's got a lot of options and you have the ability to make a lot of changes with the material. You have a lot of options on what you can use it for. But this is also for the people that are buying a ton of DTF prints and stuff like that. That's still a great decoration method, and that's still perfect. This just gives me the ability, if I have a few sheets of this laying around the house, that if I need a quick print, a quick one-off, and I don't have time to necessarily call my local, you know, DTF supplier or print-on-demand supplier that I use, I now have this at my house. I can knock it out quickly. I mean, within the last half hour, with me explaining it, we were able to send this design. If we weren't, Tony might be able to chime in on this one. When we originally tested it, we timed me, and I think I was able to execute the print and then the cut, the weed, and apply with under 2 minutes. So that's the really cool part about, you know, the EasyColor DTV using a regular desktop printer. We're not waiting a long time for that thing to warm up. We don't got to clean them out all the time. Most of them do auto maintenance. It's easy for us to utilize. But again, it's also a way for you to make your own custom things like we're doing right now, quick and easy every time. So looks like right there, that's what we got. Cool design.
Looks great.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to actually, for this particular one, there's 2 ways that we can actually transfer this on over to our garment. And I'm going to see if this one was cut out. And if it was, let's see. Nope, that one wasn't. Seeing if I did a test one. Oh, you know what? I actually got one down here. So I have 2 different ways that I can actually do this. I can take my design, okay, and using a TTD mask, or what you typically would use for like a large format print and cut material, like a Color Print Easy and things like that. It's basically the same thing as what you're used to with like your adhesive. And I'm going to say this and then explain it. But typically with your pressure sensitive or your adhesive vinyl, you're used to cutting, weeding, then masking and applying. We're doing the same thing with EasyColor DTV, but now we're using a carrier or a transfer material that's made to withstand heat. So don't use your typical sticker transfer material. We're using what's called TTD mask, which is one that will allow for a lot of heat. It'll also release from your material really well under that high heat to release your project. So I can go ahead, take a sheet of my TTD, and I can lay this on down over my design. Grab one of my weeders, or not weeder, but a squeegee. And I'm going to basically start from the center of my design and work my way to the outside boundaries of my design. And all this is to do is to try to catch some of those bubbles early and get them pushed out before we actually have a problem where either our material is not sticking or something like that, or we get a lot of bubbles. So let's go ahead. All I'm doing is burnishing that a little bit. Do a couple up and down just to make sure. And then all I have to do is take my TTD And I'm just pulling slowly to make sure that none of the pieces didn't stick to the DTD. But you can see right here, just like that, even my little test cut came along with me on this one. So let's go ahead and remove that. But now I have my pre-masked design. I can take my backing paper for my TTD now, and we're pretending we're a full-blown production shop. I'm making 100 of these, right, for Siser today. So now I can take my TTD, the actual transfer, the TTD easy mask, sorry, the transfer, and the backing to that transfer. I can take this design now, and I can simply throw it on one of my shelves here, and it's an easy way for me to store my design and come back to it later if somebody else orders one. So I can make multiple copies. The other portion of that is with a design like I have here, where there's nothing other than solid shapes that are all connecting, I can simply take this design and very carefully peel it off. And don't be fearful of it being obviously, you know, wobbly and stringy, because I'm going to show you exactly how to fix that. Bat all of that right now. So I'm just going to basically carefully tear it off. And now I basically have like a hodgepodge of a design, and it's super, super thin, right? So what I can do is come over to my heat press. And like I showed you before, I'm going to pre-press my garment, but I want to show you guys a trick. Okay, there's two things that I want to show you with this. Everybody, well, actually, Danielle, I want to ask you this first. When you pre-press a garment, do you typically pre-press where you just thread your heat press and then like pre-press your shirt like this? Would just laying your shirt down and just giving it a quick press?
Patrick, I know that's probably the wrong way to do it, but yes, that is how I do it.
It was more of a trick question. It is absolutely the right way to do it. I'm just going to show you. I want to show you a little pro tip on how to enhance it. Okay, so typically what we do two things, right? We pre-press our garment, and then we go and we usually fold it, get your center line, obviously, in your garment. Well, here's a cool way to do both. I can take my garment, I can just simply fold it in half. And I know this is a simple thing that everybody will be like, oh yeah, duh, you could do that. But a lot of people still don't. I can fold it in half, put it on my heat press. And then now when I actually heat apply this, not only am I pre-pressing the garment, but I'm also already ironing that center line in there, just making it a little more efficient. I'm taking half the time, whereas I typically press this for 30 seconds, 2 sets of 15. And now I'm able to press it for 15 seconds or 10 seconds. And I can not only pre-press, but I can also get that center line in there. So
Love
I call that the 2.0 or the 102 version, I guess, because I still thread it most of the time anyways, but I like to show people. All right. So now what I can do, go ahead and set my shirt onto the press. And if you ever struggle with lining up your garment and how far your design should be on the garment, I'll show you another quick trick. If you take on any standard shirt, if you take the seams, okay, where the sleeves basically meet, and then you just simply fold down the collar to where it meets the bottom of the collar, like that. So this is basically what you have. If I put this on my heat press and I just line up that crease that I made with the heat press itself, make sure my center line is done, and then flip that on over, I know now that my shirt is not only centered, but it's also far enough threaded back on my heat press so I can get typically that 2 to 3 finger distance in my design. So with that, we've already pre-pressed our garment. What I'm going to show you with this is just applying a little heat. I'm not actually putting pressure. I'm just closing the press. And the only reason why is I want to heat up this bottom platen, because once I go ahead and put my DTV down, you're going to start to see, and I know it's a little bit tougher on camera to see, but you're going to start to see that my design just lays down for me flat naturally. So I can go ahead, take the design, let me fold it in half really quick, get it all crinkly, 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 right? Apply a little tiny bit of pressure, not a pressure, but a little bit of heat to the bottom platen, toss this on up there. And then now what I can do is start to, and it just takes a little bit of working through. Some of them you got to give it just a tiny bit of assistance to, but now everything will lay virtually flat for me on the garment itself. And then all I got to do is make sure that everything lays down flat and we're good and ready to press.
Okay, so, how many people got nervous right there when Patrick just rolled that up like I did?
That's the thing. Listen, we have to do these things with confidence. We just jump in and we do it. And but also how many times I've made a mistake and forgot that I crinkled it up and didn't find a piece and then, you know, press it the opposite way. It always happens. All right. So I'm just making sure that I'm centered up. I always do a feel test. I don't know, for me, this works well, but it's also for me specifically, but I always usually grab the shirt itself and I kind of pull up down and try to feel if I'm even on both sides, or I'll even use my hand as measurements. I know with a 3X shirt, because I wear them, that if I hold the shirt in my hand and I'm touching the platen of the press, that both sides should run basically right to where my thumb line is. So for me, when I'm in my own house, I usually typically use that as a quick measurement to ensure that my design is in the right place and my garment's in the right place, so that right before we get to the press, we know that we're going to be set up properly. So, okay. So now we have our design laid down. The other step to this is, and the final step is the application. Okay. Now there's many ways that you can apply EasyColor DTV. I can utilize something like a Teflon sheet or a cover sheet like we're used to seeing. Okay. I can use, just from the dollar store, simple enough, some parchment paper. Or for somebody like me, I just reuse the sheet, the actual transfer or the backing sheet that came with the DTV, because it works just fine. Now, one thing to note about the EasyColor DTV is that if you use a Teflon sheet with this, it will actually give you a gloss finish. And if you decide to use parchment paper, it'll give you a matte finish. And at any time, let's say that, you know, I decided today I'm feeling more, it's a down day here in Michigan. It's snowing right now. So I'm going matte today because that's my mood, right? I can go ahead and hit that with parchment before I walk out the door. It'll actually give me that sheen, and it'll last me until I decide to change it. So it's a really cool, I think it's a really cool attribute of the EasyColor. So now what I'm going to do is apply my garment. I'm just going to slap down my heat press. We're at 310 degrees for 15 seconds. Typically, you don't need to go that long or that high for the EasyColor, but I like to always, I keep mine pretty standard with all heat transfer, and I just, if I need to cut off a second or two, I usually cut off a second or two. So with that, I can go ahead and take it off. And just like that, got myself a new shirt.
Great.
Yeah. So something quick and easy. And I can mass produce this as many times as I want, because like I said, we have the ability where you can sit and save your designs by just simply putting the mask on, putting the backing cover or the backing sheet back on, and then storing that for later. So if we want to come back to it, I know I still have it so that I can make more than one of these.
So Patrick, we did have a question come through. I wasn't looking at the comments, so I don't know if it was answered, but I think it'd be great to repeat. When you're actually printing, is there a certain print setting that you need to do for your printer? Because some people are getting ink releasing onto that carrier sheet.
That's a really, really great question. So what I always tell people, especially if you're nervous about trying DTV and about playing with the print settings and stuff, on this particular printer, I use Epsons and I use Canons in our office. I'm not saying that they're the best of the best. I'm not trying to influence you to buy one or the other. That's not my goal. My goal is just to tell you what works for us and works for me personally. So on the Epson, I have a plain paper setting, standard print. That's it. A lot of people think that they need to go, obviously, like vivid or high resolution or premium print settings. We don't have to do that with EasyColor. And what happens when you're getting the running of color is just an oversaturation of ink. So with any type of material that's a printable material, the material skin itself is really porous. And that's what happens when you're actually laying down ink on it, is that ink is absorbing into those pores of that material. Well, when we're actually going to heat apply it, it is sealing those cones or those little freckles, right? Or those little indents or impressions all over the material. It's basically sealing that in so it can seal the color. Well, what happens when you fill a cup with too much water, right? It's going to start to overflow. It's the same thing that happens with ink. It's just on such a small scale, a small level, that we typically don't notice it, or we typically don't realize when we're printing how to set our printer up for the best success for our print. So standard paper settings, plain paper settings, standard print quality is all you need for EasyColor DTV.
That was probably the best description I have ever heard.
I've explained it once or twice before, so it's all right.
We did also get a comment about pressure. What's the pressure setting and how do we set that pressure right?
Absolutely. So let's talk about pressure really quick. And any type of material that we use, sometimes they require a different pressure, right? A brick 600, or I'll start with Easy Weed. A material like an Easy Weed is typically anywhere from like 80 to 100 microns. And micron is just a measurement of depth or of thickness, right? And it's a really, really small measurement. So if you're used to using an Easy Weed, you know what the feel is. A brick 600, being 600 in the name, is 600 microns thick. So it actually requires typically a different pressure than if you're going to use like an Easy Weed. Same with a holographic or a strip flock or any other type of material. And even when you're doing things like DTF printing, a lot of DTF require high pressure to get a good release when you're actually peeling that off. So the way to actually set your pressure for the EasyColor DTV, it's medium pressure. Right? You don't need a ton of pressure for the actual material itself. It's not a sublimation where you have to have really high pressure to get that ink to gas out, to become the solid and actually dye the shirt itself. For us, or at least the EasyColor DTV, it's a product like a normal heat transfer material, so it can be applied at that light to medium pressure. But let me show you guys really quickly, because I think a lot of you at home might have these types of presses that are more of the clamshell style or alligator mouth, as I explain to my children at home most of the time. But what I'm going to essentially do is I'm going to turn the middle knob all the way up, okay? And the reason why I'm doing that is I'm turning it up to where you can see now this floating. So there's a gap in between. Here is exactly how to know and how to hone in your pressure on a press. I'm going to take the center knob and I'm going to tighten it until it's hand tight to me, okay? And again, when I say hand tight, it is your hand tight. It is okay, because there's obviously a range in pressure, right? Firm pressure is not just at 19 psi, right? It could be anywhere from 14 psi to 22 psi, and that's if you're dealing with air assist systems and stuff. But my point to that is there's always a range. So what I'm going to do is make sure this is hand tight. I now know that this press, to me, I'm using just my hands, is now a light to medium-ish pressure, right? Something I can take this press with one hand, I can simply press it down and we're good. Now, with that said, if I want to go to a medium pressure, I'm just going to simply stay with the current pressure I have now, bring up my arm, and I'm going to give this 2 quick revolutions, just 2 turns around. And now what I've just done is I've set this to a medium pressure. So now you can see I'm actually putting a little bit more into it. If I want to go to a high pressure, we follow the rule of thumb again. Turn by 2, and now I have high pressure. So that is a quick and easy way to like guess and check yourself and test your pressure on your press at home, it being that you have one that has a turnstile knob on it itself.
Great.
Yeah.
We had a question. Is there such a thing as too much pressure?
Listen, it's too much pressure and I'm nervous. I'm sorry, that was a Miley Cyrus song. Anyway, so no, there's not necessarily too much pressure, but what I will say is be conscious of the materials that you're applying. When you're using something like a brick 600, if you apply too much pressure to it, it will actually give more of a, I don't want to call it an embossing, but it'll give more of an impression on the lower part of your platen. So the actual material is not as prominent on the surface. And the point of a high density material like a brick 600 is to obviously make it pop off the garment. That's what our goal is, right? So there's really not too much pressure, too little pressure. When you get into the pressure conversation, the only time that we ever have an issue with it is when we talk about too little of pressure. With something like a sublimation and sublimation ink, sublimation blanks, they usually require a little bit more pressure. So that's really where the difference maker is. With heat transfer materials, if you're pressing light to medium and it's technically a medium pressure, you're going to still get a good result. Because remember, a lot of times what we're doing, especially with like Easy Weed material, which is just a standard heat transfer material, we're applying it for a couple of seconds. So it's already getting that pressure and allowing that adhesive to start to actually melt into the garment and into the fabric. So when we go to the second press, usually that's setting our material in. So again, I would say be careful, because too little pressure sometimes can affect you. But typically you're going to be fine whether you use medium to firm pressure or medium to light pressure. Again, all materials have a range in which they can go. That's why we don't list them on our website, right? Like this product requires this specific pressure, because everybody's different, especially if you have an auto press, you have a Cricut Easy Press, you have just, for me and a lot of lives and content, I'm just using a standard home iron as well. So really that pressure is super inconsistent because it's all based on what I can do versus what you can do at home. So to answer your question, yes and no. The yes part is you can give a little too much pressure if you're doing something like sublimation. The no is typically all heat transfer materials. You're going to be good with medium pressure or somewhere in medium to light. So Tony's already messing with me now.
I did see that comment. I didn't have it on my card either.
He knows I can't resist. He knows I can't resist Miley.
All right. So before we kind of get into the next portion of it, are there any other questions? Anybody want to chime in? Ask that like last final question before we kind of do an exclusive offer here. Now's your chance. Type it on in.
Well, you're going to get like 9 of them right away as soon as you start talking about the exclusive stuff.
Right. Which
Tony,
I think.
Tony, what's a question that you would ask if you were brand new? I think that's a good one because it's hard for Tony and I, right? Because we do this so much that, we typically have a lot of those answers that people are asking. So it's always fun to see, which he's going to throw me some like tongue twister or something bad, but it's always fun to see, what is it that when we first adopted the cutters and we started developing, what were questions that we had really, really early on? Because I will say this, we did have maybe a 2-hour meeting just about the way that the actual on button operates, So it was a lot of there was a lot of intention in the way that we designed it and built it, but it took a lot of conversation, a lot of arguing back and forth. But ultimately we came to some really, really, really cool, I think, equipment and software, much like the materials that we carry. So yeah.
Yeah, no, agreed. I prefer using my Juliet over any cutter that we have available. So this is, if you're not familiar with the Juliet or the Romeo, it is definitely something to consider as your next option for your cutter, or if you're getting into this particular area of your business. It is so user-friendly and very aware. It has the cut settings that are preset. It is very intuitive for a cutter and very easy to use.
Very, yeah. It definitely is. And, the interesting part about that is, at Siser, right? You've done multiple of these with Joe, and, we've done multiple of these in different capacities. So it's like when we sat down and we started talking about this, it was a bunch of creators that all have experience in different worlds of this business, and whether it's craft, commercial, large format printing, small scale home-based businesses. And when we all sat down at the table, our biggest question was like, why? It's not only about making something that's super cool, because I can give you all the fun facts, right? The Juliet and Romeo cut almost 3 times as fast as Silhouette and Cricut. They cut more of what your rolling and your graph text will do. They are extremely fast, they're extremely quiet, they're very, very precise, especially when it comes to print and cut. They're consistent, and that's what's important. But we still asked ourselves the question, like, why? Why would I buy this over the next thing? You know what I mean? Or why would I pay for this as opposed to going to, a Cricut Maker or even like a Roland? And it really came down to everything that you see in software mixed with everything that you see on the cutter, mixed with the fact that you have a developer of the cutter and software, you have the VP of our IT in your comments. It's very different what we're doing. And the reason why we're being different is because we believe that creators should be within this ecosystem that they can trust, that they can count on every time. And they don't have to worry about, well, I'm paying for access, so I get extra fonts and designs. It's not fair, right? It's not fair to anybody. You should be able to keep your artwork. You should be able to have the freedom to create, and you should be able to have the freedom to start creating a business and income for yourself. Become the entrepreneur that you've always wanted to be, or elevate your hobby like you've always been asking yourself. Because at the price point of these things too, I mean, it's next to none. I mean, it's the cheapest in this category that you're going to find as far as dollar figure, but definitely not the cheapest you're going to find in this category as far as quality and durability of the machine. So that's one thing that we're super, super proud of. All right. Did we stall enough so people could ask questions?
Do we have any questions over there? She has to scroll back.
Yeah.
DV things, I'm thinking some things to do with ink color being off is likely incorrect heat press with time.
So ink color being slightly off or not what she's expecting from the screen to the printout, would that be based on heat pressing?
That's going to be, okay, so there's two things that come along with that. And I think that a lot of us know this, sort of, but it's not something that's like an easy, oh, that's the answer. What we see in our computer screens, what we see in our TV screens are completely unmatched with the real world a lot of times, right? There's a lot of things you can do in movie magic to make colors match. I don't think a lot of people think about calibrating or color grading their computers so that when you're actually in Leonardo Design Studio designing, so perfect example, the design that we put inside Leonardo Design Studio now and the end result that I have match. Well, that's because my computer color is actually calibrated to make sure that I'm seeing true color, like I'm seeing the actual color. So that's one piece, okay? The other part of it is, so that's more of the printing side. The other part of it is much like anything else that's a liquid form, much like a sublimation. And the example of this would be anytime you pre-press a garment at, say, 380 degrees, you're going to start to get steam that comes up. Same thing with sublimation. It's very common to see that steam. That's releasing ink in a gaseous form. That still happens here. So what we need to think about is, number one, is our colors matching from our pre-result and our post-result, which would be in software, then on the physical garment. And then if that's all matching and that seems correct, but we're still getting a difference in color from then pre-pressing to the post-press of actually applying it to the garment, that's going to be more of the material is gassing out. So we need to think a little bit more about, okay, in that case, maybe I need to go to like a plain paper plus, or maybe that is, instead of plain paper, I'm going to standard print. And that will help to allow more ink, which will then create less, you know, with the gaseous portion of it, or releasing some of that, that will also allow some of that color, or most of that color, to stay there. So once it's sealed in, we're getting true color. So there's a couple different answers to that. It really depends on what you're using. I can tell you that if you're using like an HP printer, like home desktop printer for these, their color is really vivid and bright and vibrant. So there's no need to do any color correction. That's typically going to be in the computer. But for like an Epson or Canon, those ones are where I'm going to do a little bit more color correcting inside the computer, so I can make sure I'm getting the same result, whether pre or post production, should I say?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Anything else, Kate?
How would you use a Sharpie and on a piece of scrap and then cut it?
How would you use a Sharpie? I don't know. Can you hear Kate? I don't know if she's picking up.
I can kind of hear it. Did it say how would we use a Sharpie?
Yeah. How would you use a Sharpie on a scrap and then heat press
Why
it?
don't we do this? Let me see if I got a Sharpie. I just turned the press off, so it's still probably up to temp. Let's go ahead and let's just make a hand drawn, because again, I'm gonna lose this probably to somebody upstairs. They're gonna steal it for a trade show or something. So I'm gonna mark it with my name on it so that I can make sure they don't steal it. So let me take this piece of EasyColor, okay, and I'm just gonna simply cut off a shirt label, just like that. So I have just a plain strip. Now remember to always double check, because there is a true like bright white side of our material, and then the back side's more of like a gray or blue gray scale. It's a frosted side. So let me grab, here we go. Black marker. I have my little scrap piece of material here. I'm just gonna write, and let me make this a little bit smaller. I don't want to be too obnoxious. There we go. I'm just gonna write my name here. All right. All right. So all I'm doing right now is I just applied a little bit of Sharpie on it. Let me see. Let me actually catch this camera really quick. So you can see my name's right there. It says Patrick, but in a very SpongeBob-esque reference, I cross out the Pat because my name's not Rick. So let's go ahead and just peel this off really fast. Hold on one second. There we go. I got the corner. That's the only thing too. When you cut these with scissors, sometimes they are a little bit tough to peel off. But I'm going to go in, take my shirt. Okay. And this time I'm just going to put the collar on there because I don't really need to press anything else other than just on that shirt collar. Take my material. Here's where you can see it in action too. Let me go ahead and just pre-press this. Set my pressure back to what it was normally. All right, cool. So now I'm going to pre-press this a little bit. This is curled up. I'm going to lay that down. Check this out. Let's go ahead and just let the heat hit it for a second. And then what this will start to do is it'll start to lay out for me. Give it 1 second. Here, let me do it in the middle. Makes it a little bit easier when you have a lot of heat. There we go. Oh, I don't even have to do anything. Starting to roll out already. There we go. Sometimes I got to put like a little weeder in between it or something to help it to start rolling. But after that heat hits it, you get it rolling flat. And take it right there, put it on my collar where I want it. Make sure that we're obviously covering it up. But like I told you, you can just use the same same carrier that you had on the material. Go ahead and heat apply that. And we're just going to heat apply this for about 8 seconds or so, just because the press is already up to temperature, and we're just showing this quick. And then there you go. Just like that, I now have a neck label that I was able to handwrite really quick. So whether you're going to put this on like the inside of a backpack, maybe you're going to put it on the inside of a notebook, that's more of like a material notebook, you can go ahead and just write with Sharpie. Make it really, really easy for yourself. So there you go. It's another little view of it. So now we got not only the cool design, but we also got a little shirt label so people know that this is mine now. I don't want to see it at a trade show.
They will not steal it from you.
It's funny though, because what was it, 3 years ago? I think it was. Joe, Brett, and I were in Kansas City for the DAC show. And it was the year that the first year the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, obviously. And I had a really cool Patrick Mahomes shirt that I made. And so I made like 2 or 3 of them for the show so we could all have one, you know, wherever we were working. And with that, oh, sorry, hold on. Kristen threw me off. Kristen, stay tuned because I got some news for you on that comment. But I made like 3 of them for myself so that everybody could have one at the show. Well, mine got stolen out of the booth. Somebody, I think Brett's or Joe's got stolen out of the booth. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sign this one. I'm going to put my signature on it because nobody's going to steal it if it has my name on it. Not realizing that I literally signed Patrick Mahomes. You know, I signed a Patrick Mahomes thing and just put Patrick on it. So somebody else stole it. So I feel bad for whoever took that one. And if anybody in this thing or in this live did take it, I'm sorry when you went home and were disappointed when your friends told you that it wasn't actually Patrick Mahomes' signature. But it was, yeah, just a fun little story. But to really quick, if I could answer Kristen Senchi's question about that you should do this during a Siser Live and have everybody's signature, that would be really, really cool. But we also will be doing this coming Tuesday of next week. I'll be doing an exclusive DTV live for your business. So if you guys want to definitely attend, all I require is that you come to the live with your PNGs or SVGs of your business logos or fun logos, because I actually have people send them in live during the live broadcast, and I actually create your projects right here, and we just have everybody email us their design. So it's a really fun thing that we're able to do from time to time, where I can get in and I can just make some fun stuff with EasyColor for the audience, you know?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but that's not the exclusive stuff. That was just a little something.
No. So now for our exclusive offer that we're doing. So since Patrick is so amazing at explaining everything and has a wealth of knowledge, what we're going to do is from now, which is February 15th, 2024, through March 14th, 2024, if you purchase a Juliet or Romeo cutter from Pro World, you are going to be able to go into an exclusive online training session with Patrick. And he's going to teach you all the ins and outs of the Juliet and the Romeo and the Leonardo software, because there's so much to know and to learn. And I'd hate for you to get these cutters and just have it sit in your corner and never ever get to it, right? Because you're like, oh, I'll learn it eventually. Well, he's going to walk you through everything from unpacking it, taking off those little clips. You know, I messed that up. All the way through, getting it to work for you. It is going to be an amazing, exclusive training session. So, go ahead.
And just to add too, you know, one thing that Tony and I have identified with the cutters, right? There's a lot of you guys that are really interested and excited and are buying them. But we also recognize, right? You guys are working at a rapid pace, and we are limited on timing of being able to not only create things, like create content around these things, but making sure that we have enough of it. So we have a couple of people that float around in like the Siser North America support group, which is our support group at Siser, that also create content for us. But, you know, Tony and I just kind of sat down and we're like, hey, how do we offer something really cool for people that are going to buy a Romeo or a Juliet high definition cutters? Why don't I just do an hour exclusive training? So I'll run it for an hour for you guys. Like Danielle said, we're going to unbox a cutter. And I'll probably have one sitting out, but then I'll have the other one that I actually unbox, because everything is identical for the machines other than the size. But we'll do that. I'm going to take you all the way through the cutter, each of the settings and menus and options and things that you can do. And then within that hour, I'm also going to show you all of the ins and outs of Leonardo Design Studio. I'll show you basic, and I'll show you the conversion to pro, because everything you can do in pro, you can do in basic. Pro just gives you a one-click or an easy way to execute some of those things fast, right? So it's very exciting to do something like that. This is the first one that I'm actually going to be doing. So it's really important that you guys, if you do end up buying a Romeo or a Juliet, thank you so much in advance. But I hope to see you guys there on that March 15th date. We'll have the time and we'll have all of that stuff, I know, worked out after this, but I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a cool way for you guys to learn this. So make sure that you pick up, go to Pro World, make sure you pick up your Romeo or your Juliet high definition cutter. Also to that too, make sure that if you want to try the software, you can go to caesarna.com/Leonardo Design Studio. And there's actually a link halfway down that page that will allow you to actually download and play with the software too. So you can kind of get used to it or get to know it even before that class if you purchase. So download your software, get registered. And then what we're going to do is in that particular class, I'm probably going to pick one person. This is something I didn't even tell Danielle I was going to do. I'm going to pick one person in that class, and we're going to give you 30 days of Leonardo Design Studio Pro for free. So I'm going to convert your account to give you 30 days free of Pro. So just some lucky winner will win that. Maybe we'll add in a little material pack or something fun in there too. So there's going to be definitely more to come in that one. But thank you so much for doing that and letting us kind of do this with your audience and with your people. I love it.
No, I thought this was an amazing live. I appreciate it. I think you did an amazing job explaining. I hope everyone out there has really, are really well-versed now in EasyColor DTV, using the Juliet, using Leonardo Design Studio. I mean, Kate even said, she's like, I'm going to go get one. Why wouldn't you? It was explained so well. So Patrick, thank you so much for joining us today. And make sure everyone that's watching now until March 14th, 2024, put in your orders at Pro World for your Juliet and Romeo. And Patrick will see you at that training session on the 15th.
Awesome. And thank you guys so much. Tony said it best. Thanks to the Pro World team for letting me sing us some Miley's tunes too. So, but thank you guys so much for hosting, letting us come on and hang out. And we really, really appreciate it. This is exciting stuff for me. So we'll see you guys at the training.
Yes, always a pleasure. Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye.